Hello, 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 my people out there. Welcome to Friday the 13th. What a fantastic Friday, right? Ticket to kick it?
The ticket to kick it, man. It is Friday the 13th.
It is. And welcome to Perspectives Unlimited. You have me, your host, Shavana, better known as the Polished Prophet. And with me is my other host, Cedric, better known as the Ticket to Kick It.
Ticket to kick it, baby. Hey, listen, let me tell you, right out the bat, we already know we talking about men's health, men's mental health. It's a lot of stuff going on this month, but we're going to take a deeper dive into this because we in trouble. We as men are in trouble. And so also, let me share this. Perfection. A mind that's set on perfection, I had to remind myself of this. A mind that's set on perfection will strangle completion. It'll strangle completion, meaning like you want everything perfect, man. It gotta be like this before I do this. Well, I need this before I do that, and that'll slow down progress. And that's why we still here. Why? And I'm gonna take the hit on that because I had put some things in play because I'm just so insistent on trying to do a lot of things. On my own. I think both of us guilty of that. Mm-hmm. And there's some things we just got to delegate to some other people, and that's coming. But what we're not going to do is stop this flow, and that's why we right back here as primitive as we are, right? Raw and uncut. Because I ain't going to lie, I was trying to slow down. I'm like, man, wait till we get this. We can have all these bells, have the bells and whistles in play and our slick tech and studio equipment and all that stuff. You know what? That if I would have went with that plan, it would have threw off our vibrations, So we
right, because we gotta stay true and be authentic, because everything isn't perfect, right?
No, especially not today.
Right, and since you said that, since you started that off like that, today we're gonna be opening up to all of our listeners, especially men. I'm really going at the men hard today because I just want some feedback. I want some interaction, some conversation going. I just want to know how you feel seeing that this is Men's Mental Health Month. And what that means is that it aims to raise awareness about mental health challenges that men face. And as a woman, you don't really look at a man having these issues because they're a man. Like, you don't think that they're going to be as sensitive as us, they're going to cry like us, they're going to move like us, because that's just not their role. But also, the month of June, it encourages open conversation that provides resources for men to access mental health support, and I think that's good. Mm-hmm. So what I did was, me, I'm inquisitive. I gotta know some things. So I went and did some research, and
what you come up with?
I came up with a lot per the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and it said that men die by suicide nearly 4 times more than women. And 49,000 people died by suicide in 2023. That totals 1 death per every 11 minutes.
All right, let's look at that.
Yeah.
Men. So it says men are 4 times likely to die of suicide versus women.
Yes.
And them numbers have spiked.
They have spiked. That was in 2023. The percentage dropped some in 2024, but it increased more than 17%. And the CDC is saying that the barriers for this is that men feel ashamed, the myth of their masculinity.
Let's stop right there for a minute. I just looked at a film today called The Mask I Wear, and it talks about that, like with little boys. One of the examples, it was saying if you go to like a park and there's a group of little boys playing, all you got to do to start something is come up and say something like, hey, which one of y'all is soft? Who's the soft one out here? you know, and it's just in our DNA to, especially what's being poured into us. But that's a lot of pressure because coming up in our culture, especially black and brown cultures, it's this stigma that was put on us to be tough, you know, and to always be at some level of competition, and in that developed a lot of bullies. I think a lot of bullying come from that. Of course, there are some things that went on that play a part in how kids show up at school. But back to the suicide, I want to say this. I want to send a shout out to Jolanda Edwards. You know what I'm saying? You know who you is, sweetie. It's a dear member of my extended family, so to speak. And I know she wouldn't mind me sharing her story because she shared it. I spoke or I attended an event she put together, raising awareness on suicide. She lost two of her sisters, you know, her twin sister and her youngest sister, you know. And like, man, it was such a tremendous loss, and to experience that, and like through that experience, me and her are forever connected because it devastated me. And I'm like, wait, what? You know, kind of like back to back, you know. And there was one thing that was questionable, but like her younger sister, it was just obvious, and I had developed a relationship with her, and to this day, it's still, I can feel it in the pit of my stomach, that loss, right? Because it's like, and her father, such a good dude, and I had to watch him go through that loss because we were all cool, you know what I mean? And yeah, and so it raised my awareness. So mental health period is something that's been taboo. We just started talking about this in the last 20 years.
We did, and those numbers have increased drastically. From my research, 12.8 million people have seriously thought about committing suicide. 3.7 million made a plan for suicide, and 1.5 million attempted suicide. And some of the stuff that was alarming to me and made me pause was that, you know, the masculinity, because you're a man, you don't cry, or because you're supposed to hold this certain statute and walk this way and talk this way, you're ashamed to open up about what's going on inside, and you also don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to be the one seeking.
You don't want to be the
help, right? And you don't want to be talked about.
You don't want to be the vic. So somebody get on that. Especially when you got young men standing in the community and we're congregating and we're fellowshipping. Yeah, there's some levels of camaraderie there, but there's always this level of competition. It's like when you get a group of dogs, you know what I mean? They fight for the right to be the leader, so to speak. You know what I mean? But I want to check this out. Now, I know we're Perspectives Unlimited, so all voices are valid with us, all opinions and POVs and all that. And so I don't say we have a targeted audience, because this information anybody can benefit out what we got planned in the vision for it. But I'm sure that it would be mostly Gen X. It'll be, you know, those who came up in the 80s and the 90s perspective in that part of the culture. So I gotta go there. Now, we come from an era where R&B songs got played. Let's look at before hip hop really came into play.
Okay.
All those songs, all the slick guys was singing, you know what I mean? And they was dressing nice, and they was singing about love to the women. Yes. And guess what? The women was singing the same thing. When I was listening to Vanessa Williams and Mickey Howard and all them sisters,
some excellent singers.
Yes, and I felt like they was singing to me, you know, classy, real classy. And so coming out of that, now think about where hip hop come along. And I'm gonna go with rappers that like. Let's go with that. When they hip, now when they came out, you had to be there, man. Nothing sounded like that, and it was like this guy talking slick. He talking about he imp the dip, the lady pimp, man, but nobody talking like that. And on that nice beat, they got from Chic Good Times beat, man. So here come that braggadocious thing, and get this, none of that shit true, okay? None of it true. What I mean by that, I could fly through the sky like Superman and blah blah blah. It was a lot of grandiose talking, a lot of shit that couldn't be done. Anyway, but it was crafty, and it was crafty,
and it caught your attention.
Our imagination.
Yes,
because you would picture that.
Right, like, and then you ask your friends, how this nigga flying? Like, no, but you put yourself there in that, and they made it available for you, and in so many ways, that was an outlet. It was your story. It was your story. Somebody else was telling your story, and you didn't even know.
Get it? And so that was party. But when Grandmaster Flash came out with the message, and he was talking about broken glass everywhere, people pissing in. As soon as the record come on, you hear that tension and the desperation in it. And they say it's a part of it where they say crazy lady eating out of bag or whatever. That talks about food injustice or food deserts. Then it's a part in the song where they say push that girl in front of the train, took her to the doctor, sewed her arm on again, stabbed that man. He talking about the violence. That's in the early 80s. That's relevant right now, what he talking about. He talked about the sister that came from out of town who was kind of green, and she came to the city and got jammed up. These are real stories, and it ain't nothing new. And so what I'm getting at is this. And so after that, the message, here come hip-hop now, with all these different messages. And the East Coast had it, they came out with that, and we was getting bits and pieces of it. But the message, when you heard them guys rapping or whatever, groups like Public Enemy, any of those Poor Righteous Teachers, you had groups that was really talking about empowerment and fight the power and community. Oh man, yes. If you want to know anything about hip hop culture, man, look up KRS-One. Dude is just brilliant. He really breaks the culture down beautifully. And so
Boogie Down Production. No.
That's them?
Yes, and
EDP.
Yes, and Diggable Planets was another good one.
Yeah, kind of like what they would call conscious.
Yes,
they were saying positive stuff. So something went wrong in it, right? And so I'm gonna say the conditions, because remember, you got the crack cocaine era jumping off at the same time. This really created a bunch of self-seeking and me type of movements. Everybody wanted to be a Nino Brown or wanted to be a successful drug dealer.
Yeah, you wanted to stand up. You wanted to be somebody, and that's what you saw in your area. That's what you saw in your neighborhood. Like, I was just watching a show today about how Dutch Schultz started and how he got a kid running from him at just a young age. I think it was Billy Ballgate. I think that was his name. So
Billy Bathgate or something like
that. Yes,
I
just watched that, and it's like, wow, this is what was in their area. Yes, somebody said Slick Rick. Absolutely, Slick Rick was and still is a icon. So
hold on. Let's stop. I'm sorry. Let's stop right there, Shavana. I'm so glad you said Slick Rick. And I'm gonna tell you why. Slick Rick had a song called Teenage Love, and he talked about going through changes in young relationships, and he was vulnerable in this, talking about don't hurt me again. If you listen to that song, I mean, he really broke it down. He said, precious times, hoping they won't end. Tell your mother about your lover, also your best friend. And then he started talking about when he say, later on, problems start to occur, and the bond which combines y'all turn into a blur. I mean, he really talking, man, for him to be talking about relationships at that stage in the game. And, hey, young world. Hey, young world.
Yes.
The world is yours.
And the beat was
so cool. Nice. Be disrespecting mommy. That ain't cool. Like, have you forgot who put you on this earth? And he really put out a lot of positivity, even in children's stories.
Yes.
At the end, he say, "This ain't funny, so don't you laugh. It's a story about another kid taking the wrong path." See, classic hip hop is like scripture, man. Some of that stuff. Anyway, somewhere it got turned around. What happened? Okay, crack cocaine era, and then those conditions created an NWA. The conditions up out of that create a nigga with an attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so look, the Rodney King beat, so all that stuff. So now young America is like angry.
Very much so.
Very angry. And then it started pouring into the music. And so next thing you know, it just went crazy with it. And I gotta be honest, a lot of the groups that we were listening to, they pumped a lot of bullshit. And guess what? I'm gonna be the first to say it. Ice Cube, Too Short. I'm not knocking these brothers at all. NWA, all that. If you're honest with yourself and you go back and look at hip hop, and when we started degrading our women at the level, and it just started increasing. It started increasing that we started normalizing it, and then the sisters started accepting it. And then to try to take the sting out of it, a lot of the sisters say, well, I'm just finna be just as raunchy and reckless as the men are. You know what I mean? You men, you want to be with a girl and sleep with her sister, guess what? I'm going to be with a guy and sleep with his homie and try to justify it in that way. And but this just started on. So look what we got now. And I'm not knocking nobody. I'm just stating facts over feelings. The last 20 years. Let's say the last 25 years, because it's 2025. Let's say the last 25 years, the more successful women in hip-hop has had a consistent message. A consistent message. From Lil' Kim to Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Sexy Red, you can just keep naming them. What was that girl? Trina. You know, all them pumped out a message that said it was okay. And I'm going to tell you where we dropped the ball at. When I say we, I'm talking about my generation.
Somebody said adapting to the environment, which is true. Because that's what's in front of you. That is what's in front of you. You adapt to what's there because that's what you see. That's what you see, you learn. Right.
And so what you learn, you become.
Right. And so that's why that created also a shutdown for men. It created that because now, what are they listening to? And some of you men, I want you all to chime in and get involved. I'm going to pose a question, and if you see it, give me your feedback, but I'll read it to you. Have you ever felt like you couldn't talk about your emotions? And if so, what held you back? What held you back where you felt that you could not talk freely and openly, whether it was to the neighbor, a friend, somebody that you could trust, a family member?
Well, that's it. It was, a lack of trust. ACEs, adverse child experiences, and then the pressure and the conditions that a lot of us grew up under. And then, you know what? I learned something years ago, and it was the gateway philosophy. Was it the gateway? No, it was an SATC. But anyway, and this is and it's men, because men wrote it. But what I do remember, it said, together we travel in search of ourselves. And it talks about no longer using distorted images of what a man should be. And I remember that because we've been misled and misinformed. Like you just got through saying, what you see, you learn, what you learn, you practice. And the more you practice something, you'll become that. And so to answer the question, a total lack of trust based on even media back then. You had the gangsters on the TV. And that's another thing. Our culture, and I'm speaking from black men experience, we embrace the gangster code. We looked up to those figures in those different mobs,
which is loyalty
but I'm like a historian with that. Because you had the 5 families in New York and all that, and you had the Chicago outfit, and all that has always been there. Attraction to the hood.
Well, okay. And you pose some excellent feedback, which is so true. So how about let me ask you this, and also anybody on the live chime in. We want your feedback because it's so important. Again, this is an open and safe space. Talk to us because we want to know. We're out here actually to help and assist. So my second question is, what does healing look like in your neighborhood? Like in your neighborhood today, what does it look like now from 15 years ago to 10 years ago to the whole 25? Have you seen improvement? Have you seen lack of improvement?
All right, so you know what? I'm going to tell you, for real, a lot of, like the work I do a lot of work as it relates to community with a number of organizations, whether it's dealing with housing, whether it's dealing with substance misuse, whether it's dealing with justice involved, justice impacted individuals. You know, looking back then, we stuck together a lot more. It's real simple too. On this, it's the media. When you look at media and tech, because we don't interact the same no more. See, back then we had to talk with each other.
Yep.
If you think about it, you don't see girls jumping ropes. You don't see how the kids be playing because everybody got a phone and technology and there's so much information.
You also don't see families having dinner anymore.
Right. They don't get broke down at the dinner table no more.
And if you are at the dinner table, everyone has a phone out. Like,
yeah, so that's what I mean by the human interaction and faded. So when you say look at healing back then versus now, well, one thing, we got a lot more information now because we are having these conversations. Like now we're talking about trauma informed care. We talk about restorative justice, restorative practices, and conflict resolution. You know, these all these pieces work together, and it's a healing in that. And see, when I got in violence prevention and started taking them, I had to take these trainings, right? That was a healing process, and so that's what made me start creating and developing workshops that wrap around those issues in that population.
And you know what? It's, you know, I watch a lot of criminal shows, and you know, Law and Order SVU is like one of my ultimate favorite. And you know, it was this, I'll never forget this one episode. Elliot just kept chasing this young man because he wanted him to do better. He wanted him to get off the streets. He wanted him to know that it's another life out there. And the one thing that the lady in the group home told him was, you know, detective, sometimes it takes an addict to help an addict because they've been through it. They know the struggle. They know the streets. So they're going to cling to what they know and what they trust.
Well, that's true. That's the ultimate weapon. For a person that's recovering from substance misuse, the ultimate weapon is someone who has found a new way of life per that practice, you know. And so, yeah, and coming back to that question again, what it look like now today? We got all this information, a lot of it not being implemented or it's not being practiced.
Nor is it being talked about. That's why I love the fact that the words that we choose are so important, because it says awareness. Because if you don't know, you don't know. But if I can make you aware, then I'm doing something.
You're doing something.
Because you can't get the help if you're not aware of the help. And if it's not talked about because of the stigma and because there is a shame against it because you're a male, then it's being hidden and it's being pushed down.
And so that's where the resentments get to festering at. And that's where the mismanagement of anger, you know what I mean? But again, those conditions that make you, the conditions in the hood, in the pressure, those conditions will, as Professor Benny Lee say, create a motivated offender. A motivated offender. Let's pause real quick. I wanted to share this too. I'm really glad that we're doing this because we got some stuff. You know, we got a vision of really having a space where we can come share and talk about some real shit without being no guards, no rails on this, on the discussions. because a lot of people out here talking, a lot of people out here putting messages out. But like, believe me, ain't nowhere in the world me and Shavonna would have did this if we didn't believe in it. We are not clout chasing. You know, we don't need no spotlight because we got light. You know what I mean? We are a hell of a combination. Look, you know, Shavonna's background is in accounting. You know what I'm saying? Money management and financial literacy. You know, and my strong suit is life skills and life change and self-improvement, personal and professional development. Coming from I'm a lived experience professional, and so I just want to make that clear. We ain't on here to be playing. And guess what, man? Tired, drove a long way. There's commitment, though. You know,
it says something, and consistency, and that just shows that you have a passion to go above and beyond. Because what we do now in this era was different from how we were able to publicize information and broadcast it. Now we can sit wherever we want, sit or stand, and make a stance and make something happen. And we can talk about it, and it could be a safe space where there is no judgment. Everybody has an opinion, and it doesn't mean you're right or you're wrong, but we want you to speak it. And you know, I wish that if we pulled together more as a community, like we pulled together for gossip and social media, I think we would be in a much better space.
Ain't no two ways about it. Ain't no two ways about it. Things done changed. You know what I mean? Now, so when you hear the word or the name Albert Einstein, what you think about? Smart, right? Brilliant. Albert Einstein. Well, he was accepting an award in the 1940s, and this is what he said. He said, "I'm very grateful for the progress that we have made with technology, but I'm afraid that technology will soon supersede our human interactiveness," right? If you want to call it that, human fellowship and all that. "And the world will become filled with idiots." Now, he said that in the 40s. And it's some zip fools out here too.
I want to address, Eddie, what do you mean by no lies detected? Can you elaborate on that for me? And I'm sure you're talking about one of the questions, but can you give us more insight? I'd like to know what you mean about that. I'm curious as to knowing. And while we're going to wait for him to respond, we're talking about mental health and how it triggers the males and how it's frowned upon because of the stigma that's out here. So, you know, again, you know, I watch a lot of shows, and another show that I was watching was 60 Days In, where people voluntarily go into these jails.
Would you do it?
You know what? Yeah, a part of me would.
Man, 60 days, 2 months.
A part of me would, because
I done been through that fit as hand. I promise you.
And I'm glad you said that, because watching that, I wanted to know, because I know some people came out and they talked about their experience and they said that it bothers them.
Talk about the trauma.
Yes, it bothers them. So my question to you, wait, hear me out. My question to you is, when we're talking about gun violence and police presence and loss of a friend or a family member, how does all that impact you if you're incarcerated? How does mental health impact you and you're incarcerated? How?
Man, shit, you be okay. So there's so much trauma with that whole process. You know what I'm saying? You get arrested, handcuffs on you, especially if it's new to you, man. And especially if they mishandle you, then throw you in the back of the car, take you to a police station, put you in a cage for hours. Gotta wait on your fingerprints to come back. Then you get on a bus and drive around the city. Then you get Cook County Jail. Now you gotta see a judge. Now you gotta go through 16 hours of processing and all that, you know, strip searches, dogs sniffing on you, you know what I mean? So the thing, and then the lack of control or being able to even connect with what's going on the outside. So when you got drama going on the outside and you're trying to navigate the Department of Corrections, spiderweb, hell yeah, the mental is challenged. Your mental challenged like a mug. So because you know, you even if, and like, if you get some time and go down to the penitentiary, you have to go be classified where they have you in this box for like straight up like a caged animal. And I went through that a number of times. I didn't even realize that I was even traumatized until I started educating myself on trauma. And I'm like, damn, that's why I react like that, or damn, that's why this or that triggers. So to answer the question, you gonna grow up or blow up in there.
So even with the programs that they have, like the workouts, the outreach that they have for new people coming into the system, school, mentoring programs, isn't that a way to talk about and release that trauma?
Why, in jail?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they offer that, and it's definitely an outlet. Education always a good thing, and quite a few men and women have. But they took a lot of those programs out, but you have a lot of scholars that come out of there. I can name quite a few myself. But those things help, you know. But the human interactingness, and especially in there, man, come on, in jail you around all this testosterone, you around all this energy and anger, you know, and stress. Yeah, so it's easy to feel that. But real talk, only the strong survive mentally going through that. Because I know some people who really lost their weight and ain't been the same. It's amazing that I still count a little bit.
It's suicide. Is suicide popular in prison?
Not as much as they say. Not as much as they say, because if that's the case, no. You know what? Only one time I was around somebody had killed themselves. Other than that, I didn't hear too much of that.
Oh.
I think, you know what? That's something to look at, though. Because I want to look at the number on that.
Yeah, because if you're caged in this space, and for someone that's, let's just say someone that's a homebody that don't need to be anywhere and they're okay with their space and they're locked down 23 hours a day, like they're by themselves, so they're communicating with themselves.
Oh, you talking about like the like those 20,
the solitary,
the ones where they don't get no contact with other.
Right, they're not in jam population.
Yeah,
like I can see how
that's torture.
Yes, I can see it being torture, but and again, maybe they put this on the TV shows, but it looks as though people want to be there because they want to be by themselves. Eddie, I want to address what you said. Now I understand. So he's saying that no lies detected when you mentioned that Albert Einstein said that technology
straight up, think about it,
illiteracy in people. So yeah. Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it.
Hey, when you look around, you see a lot of people like this with that phone.
Yeah, walking down the street, man, they will walk right into.
Listen, you can look up videos. They got video with people walking, getting hit by trains and shit. Okay, walking all out and on the phone in them cars. You know, I think we're all guilty of that at one point or another, messing with that phone while driving. You know.
Because it's something that just can't wait. So what would happen if they took all technology away? Would you be able to survive?
I'm good. I stockpile books, and plus I live with. Now I'll be kind of messed up a little bit, but I won't be as messed up as a lot of other people that I know will just go crazy.
Yes,
they'll go crazy literally, and it's all by design. You know, there's a documentary called Social Dilemma, Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix, and they're talking to the people who invented the like, the guy who came up with the emoji, the guy who, and they're talking about how, cause like one guy was like, I didn't know it was gonna turn into that. I didn't know it was gonna do this much damage, because it's a lot of stuff that's done with social media, particularly with sites like Facebook. You know, some of their promotions and ads, different stuff. It attracts you more. You know what I'm saying, to make it attractive. But we talking about men's mental health and what that look like through a holistic lens. Where do you start?
So, Delinda says, yes, phones can get you in trouble. Yes, I can. I'm old school. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Now,
and I know I could. Like, if you took away all social media, if you,
good.
I know 80% of the phone numbers in my phone. So if I lost my phone, I can call somebody.
Shit, I'm over with that. I don't know nobody number. I know my mama number. That's the only number. Damn, that's the only number I know by heart.
You gotta at least know 3. You gotta at least know 3.
That's my girl too. What's up, Delinda? Yeah, she old school. I already know how she built. You know, the ones cut from where I come from. We ain't, you know, we alright. We'll get a book and sit down somewhere.
And people don't do that anymore. People they afraid. No, they don't have hardback books. They'll put it on their phone. Like, there's nothing more comforting than going to get a book and reading it. Like, I just think that is amazing.
I'm an avid reader. Did you know that a lot of successful people wrote down exactly what they did in a book, told their whole journey, rich as shit, right? And they wrote a book. This is how I did it. We won't even read the book
to see how they did it.
You know, shortcut.
And you know what? They'll look for an Audible, somebody to read it to them. But how are you getting that? Yes, how are you getting that understanding? How are you getting that understanding?
Is anybody a victim of spell check? Like, I be forgetting how to spell check because I'm waiting on it to finish spelling it for me.
Nobody goes and picks up the dictionary anymore. Nobody. You know, I actually got talked about because I was going to look up something and I went and got a thesaurus, and somebody was like, you got Google right here. I had a thesaurus before Google.
Yeah, Google is our friend, but
it is. It is.
Now I'm just talking shit. Listen, if they shut it down, and I got a taste of what that kind of looked like. We had an outage. Right? Everything dark, and ain't nothing on, and all the phones, everybody's phone like about to die, and we just had to sit there. So I lit some candles, and I was okay. The girls was going nuts
because they couldn't get on the phone.
They ain't had them phones.
That's
the
like
internet. Hey, you just hit somebody. Hey,
you know, it was a comedian. I want to say it was Earthquake that said he told his son take out the garbage one too many times, and he didn't do it. So he went and cut the Wi-Fi off, and his son came and said, "Dad, the Wi-Fi not on." He said, "Take out the garbage, and it might come back on."
Oh, I like that. I saw that. That's good. Yeah, you can kind of work them like that too.
So you know, I want to bring back some more questions to the audience, and again, I've already posed a few of them. So one of the questions I posed was, have you ever felt like you couldn't talk about your issues, and if so, why? What does healing look like in your neighborhood? And I also have another question that I want to ask everyone. If therapy was free and right around the corner, would you go? And before you answer that, just think about it. If it's difficult, I'm not going to say difficult, if it's challenging for me to accept something because of the way that I'm supposed to be, how society stigmatized the male, your masculinity, you're not supposed to be crying, you're not supposed to be vulnerable. If I know I need to talk to someone, would I go right around the corner and talk to them to get that help, or would I even be ashamed because I know what's around the corner and I don't want my friends to talk about me.
Oh, so you're saying like, if it was that convenient,
yes,
would you go?
Go right around the corner?
Man, you know what? Seriously, on some real shit, I am not finna just sit up and tell my story to know anybody. I'll be, even with doctors, I would really research. I would research who I'm about to let provide therapy. You know, because therapy is good. But if it was convenient, I would. I think it's sexy. That's the whole thing right now. That's trendy to have a therapist. People with common sense like to hear you talk like that. You know what I mean? It's better than talking something reckless. You feel me? Like, yeah, I'm gonna see my therapist. Well, that tells me that you're getting some assistance and that you're aware that there are triggers. You know, and there's real issues there as far as I don't like to say post, but it's definitely a lot of traumatic stress that we deal with.
Or life coaches. I like life coaches. What about that?
Yeah, well, and the life coaches is I guess there's levels to it, but I would say a lived experience life coach would be the best. And I'm not knocking, because some people just go to school and learn about it, but it's a little extra. It's different when somebody that actually did it, and you actually went through that shit, and then you actually found a way to enrich the quality of your life. Especially those that know my story before the glory, right? A lot of my peers did not make it.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of my peers didn't make it for a number of reasons. I know I'm getting away from the question, but I'm gonna say yes, I would. I mean, that's only because in my mind now. But later on in the flick, I'd have looked at you like you crazy. Hell no, I ain't finna go, what?
Right, because it's looked upon. So
yeah, I ain't crazy.
Eddie answered that question. Eddie, I so adore you. I love your interaction. Eddie says, I think men think showing the emotions show weaknesses, or they have been so scared they hide the emotions because they are always put to be the strong one and the one never to show weakness. They always look at being dominant, and that's why a lot of them become gay or trans, because they can show the female side of being emotional. Now let's go back, Eddie. I like this, and I want to touch on it. Multiple ways. So you're right. The society says that men don't cry, and the example that I'm going to use for that is Princess Diana. When she passed, her sons were not to cry.
Yeah.
How do you not cry and you lost a parent? I'm confused. How do you hide that emotion? How do you deal with that emotion?
Well, we haven't been dealing with it. I'm gonna say this. There's been a lot of methods through the years to try to combat mental illness, mental decline, you know, and different illnesses, especially stuff like dementia and different disorders we can develop, and all of it, I believe, is connected. All of it is connected. So where do we start? I got the secret sauce. I know where to start.
And where is that? Man,
with self. It starts with and ends with the conditioning of your spirit. The condition of your spirit. And yeah, some brothers, you know what I'm saying, I don't know. I mean, it's always a touchy thing for me to talk when I, discuss sexual preference. But I do know there are cases where some men were flipped into certain roles. You know what I mean? And that could be up under, that's tremendous mental pressure right there, all kind of trauma. But anyway, here's the what I like to call holistic lifestyle repositioning. And the first thing we need to do is navigate the community of self. How do I start taking care of me? Right? How am I investing in me and in my health overall? Because if I'm striving to be healthy mentally, that's probably not gonna work out if I'm smoking crack, or if I'm drunk, or if I'm not in my, if I ain't taking care of myself in one area, it's gonna bleed into the other. That's what I'm saying. So it's like
it's something to think about, and the fact that we're raising awareness. Hey, the beautiful Bam, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in to Perspectives Unlimited. We're actually talking about men's health awareness and the stigma, and we're getting everyone involved to answer these questions. Like, why is it so hard for men to open up and talk? If therapy was around the corner and it was free, would they utilize it? Like, how do we break this stigma and make people aware? But to address what you were saying, Cedric, I think that men may have been pushed into certain roles, but was it accepted if you were a young child and you cried as a male, or you were too affectionate? Was that accepted? Was that embraced? Like, you're still going to have this masculinity because you're opening up and showing emotions? Or was that looked at like something is wrong? You're not supposed to be like this. How does that play a role? Backtracking to what you commented on, what Eddie said. And like he said, men that, and correct me if I'm saying this correct, Eddie, men that switch over to the LGBTQ community because they were able to express themselves openly, because they were able to be in touch with that feminine side of them.
All right.
It wasn't frowned upon. That's why they did it.
Okay. I'm not sure about that one. I really can't speak no power to that. You know what I mean? Because I just can't. I really can't speak no power to that. Because like me, if you're gay, you gay. I don't care one way or the other. Let me say that. I do not care one way or the other. Right. But what I don't want to do is put a narrative out saying that I don't want to come off like I'm saying that most men who are gay are gay because of XYZ. I'm not in the position to say yay or nay on that. But like I said, I do know of, for me navigating jail for years, that there were men who were kind of forced into those roles.
Right. It was survival.
Okay.
It was survival. And that's what you see on a lot of shows, and that's why I watch a lot of these criminal shows, because it tells the story. It's men get raped in prison all the time. They do.
Well, that would definitely screw up somebody's mental.
It would.
That's trauma.
That is trauma. And then that's something that they have to live with.
Okay. We looking at a lot of angles on this men's mental
health and seeking that help. And
it ain't just. Hold on, I want to say this because it ain't just gay men or men in jail. Like, there's a lot of us need mental health. A lot of us need mental what you would say, enrichment. And what that look like to enrich your mental. I would say definitely start doing research. And what kind of practices? How do you frame your day up? Because everything starts and ends with the condition of your spirit. You know what I mean? So what is your routine? Are you organized? All this play a part in it. Because let's just say if you have a job or you're in school, you have some commitment that you have to be at regularly. And you want to give yourself proper time. I found out that I need at least 2 hours before I leave out of my house. Before I leave out of my house, starting my day, I need at least 2 hours with myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I like aromatherapy.
Candles.
Yeah. I listen to motivational speeches. I listen to instrumentals like jazz or something. It depends, and I do these things to shift my energy. And the best time to do it is when I don't feel like doing nothing. when I don't feel like doing nothing, I'm like, you know what? Let me get up and continue with the commitment. You know, because one of the first things I do is take me a drink of water. You know, I believe in grounding. Man, first of all, you want to figure some shit out. If you want to figure some shit out, get up at about 3:30.
That's the best time.
Man, get up about 3:30 and just be still. And you're going to get some answers going to come to you. It's something about that time of the day, or out of the 24 hours. They call it the witching hour. Some people. And then I've heard this, that, you know, when you're chosen or when you have purpose, everybody has some purpose. But I'm saying when you have certain assignments, though, somebody was saying that's like the higher energy saying get up. You know what I mean? Because to balance it off, because you got the. Yeah, it made sense to me.
It makes sense to me too. It's like you get so much done. It's a different type of peace. It's a different type of quietness. It's an interaction, like you said. It's a balance within yourself that gets your attention, and you yearn for it. You need it, so it becomes a daily routine. Like I do that for myself in the morning, but I also do that for myself at night, because now I gotta calm down. I gotta release the day. I gotta let that go and get ready to enjoy my night. So I need that 2 to 3 hours again just to unwind.
Okay.
I need my candles. I need my bubble bath. I need my laughter.
Yes. All that shit.
Yes, all of the above. Do we got any other comments? Any other questions? Chime in. We want you to chime in on this.
I'm finna get raunchy because I'm finna talk about some men's issues. You dig?
Wait, did you have to point like that?
Yeah, some men issues. I got some issues.
Somebody in trouble.
but what about the role that women play?
Meaning what?
The role that women play in contributing to the mental decline. I know that sounds mean and shit. Let's look at this then. how what part? Where would women be most effective in supporting? Hey, how can women support men as it relates to mental health, mental wellness? Because y'all definitely bring some mental stress. That's just how life framed up.
Well, okay, so you can listen. Listening is a good tool.
Boom. One, listen.
Listening is definitely a good tool. The second tool is keywords. Because if you're talking to me, I'm trying to dissect what you're saying. I look at myself. I look at a conversation like I look at the Internal Revenue Service. They never call you for anything. Any information you send to them, they gonna take it, dissect it, and enter it in, and they gonna come up with whatever reasoning that needs to be came up with. That's me when I'm in this conversation. So I'm looking and listening for stuff. Keywords. You could be telling me something if I just listen. If I pick up on keywords.
How about this? Don't be making facial expressions and shit when we're talking to you. We're watching you, so if you're doing now we're trying to feel like you're not listening. Or how about, I don't know
if I don't understand what you're saying, but I don't want to interrupt you, so you can't always make it seem like,
I don't know. That's case by case.
Yes.
When it comes to relationships, that's something that's case by case. Because some people don't have a real problem with communicating. But I can tell you this though, based on my own experience, as men, when we're dealing with women, especially when we're talking to you, we're communicating with you, we're watching your facial expressions, we're watching your energy. We pay attention to all that, and if it seems like you're not really connecting with us on it, or especially if you cut us off. If a man is expressing himself and he pauses for like a couple of seconds, man, don't say nothing. Don't finish it for him. I promise you, stop doing that one. If that's something you do, knock it off with that one. Because that throw the whole thing off. What it is, when men do that, we want to make sure that we're clear on what we're about to say. That's why sometimes we'll pause. You know,
that's your period.
Like you know what? Like when I'm talking, I want to make sure I pick the right words when I'm expressing myself. So if I pause, I don't cut the man off. Allow him to finish. And I'm gonna tell you something. You actually, if women, I don't want to come off like
no,
that.
Come on.
But sisters, if you listen to a man, we really, man, if you listen, you can find out just about whatever you want to know. You know what I mean? And I think it's a part of men want. We want our women to matador us in some ways, and then you don't know how far it'll take you. How far? Hey, what's up, Big Daddy? You know what I mean? Hey, sugar. Study, affirm, and just always affirm. No, let me rephrase that. Give a significant amount of affirmation. Both should be doing that. No one should be be needy in that way, because a man will. I don't like saying that, decline mentally, but a man will have some mental struggles in relationships with women.
So what happens when you tell the guy, hey, good looking, and you keep saying that, does it get to be overwhelming for you? Does it get to be too much?
Hey, good looking.
Yes.
So if a woman goes, all right, let me get it straight. So
no, not any woman. So let's just say you're in this relationship with this woman.
Oh, okay. And she's saying, hey, good looking.
Yes.
And she flirting.
Yes.
I think that's cool.
You think that's cool? That's not overbearing. Well, you got some men that think that's too much. So it just depends.
Hey, that's why we talking about men's health, man. We got to do better.
So wait, let me address. let me address.
We got to do better.
Yeah, let me address some of this. So, Eddie said, no, I'm sorry, Auntie Johnny said, I love it. Keep it moving, y'all. Talk about it. Eddie said, men have gave too many responsibilities to women. Interesting. Eddie, I want you to elaborate on that. You know, you just can't come with one statement and leave it there. The beautiful Bam said, LOL, that's true. And Eddie came back again and said, the man is at home now. The woman have began to take on.
Okay. No more people like, hey, what is y'all doing? Like, what is y'all doing?
They just didn't want to finish. They didn't want to finish.
What is y'all doing? Okay, so remember in the beginning of this, I told y'all a lot of this, me and Shavonna be doing this on our own, learning on our own with this. I know there's a lot of things that we want to put in place that's being worked on. But I promise you, as we move on with this, we're going to be able to provide lists of resources. We're going to have powerful speakers come share messages of hope and healing. We're going to be having events. We're going to be on location. We're going to, cause we low-key food critics. We're going to go check out a few spots. We want to highlight the lesser-known people that's vital to the community. And we're not going to hold you up, but we do want to
give you some resources because this is men's mental health. And for those that do not want to talk about it publicly, I have put some comments and resourceful information in the comments, which is one organization you can reach out to is You See Us. You can reach out to Men in Mind. You can reach out to Face It Foundation, and you can also reach out to Black Men Heal. You can reach out to Heads Up Guys. You could reach out to Men's Therapy. And with this particular organization, they use humor to get you to open up. Men's Therapy.
Okay.
And the last one is the National Alliance on Mental Health. And they provide support and education. A lot of people also find therapy talking to their barbershop talk, peer-to-peer, or, church-based programs. A lot of people talk about it during sports and talking about cars.